Alright, hey, sorry, I'll just try to be really quick here. Hope this works. Yeah, so we have 2-8. 2-8's offsuit. Yeah, just fold out it. It's a bit inconvenient, I guess. Yeah, this one is 3x, so I fold out my kind of bottom of my range. 6-8 off, easy fold. Here I folded. I guess I should have opened 10-4 offsuit, but since he has so many chips, I fold out my bottom range again. Here, yeah, I decided to call because it's only 2x. Well, I probably even call 2.5. Then I decided to go for half pot. Answers here pretty simple because he still has some diamond draws. He still has some 5-6 sometimes, and maybe some ace highs. Also a lot of 4x, so he calls, and then I decide to go for half pot again on the river just for value, and yeah, he calls out of king queen. Pretty good call by him. 2.5x here, take it down. 2.5x here. Yeah, here I decided it's a fold. 4-9. Yeah, 4-9 I decided to fold. Queen 6, easy open, fold. Here, what do we got? Yeah, I just opened, he just, no, I didn't open, he just folded. This is the hand, I remember this. So he pushed all in, and he had less than 40 blinds, but basically around what was it, around 11 blinds effective. So I decided to call off with force because 11 blinds, I think it's a call. I decided to call. Then I fold 4-5. This was supposed to be an open based on charts. My mistake. 2.5x, pretty easy open there. Yeah, take it down here. 10-4 offsuit. I think you can open this. Yeah, here I decided to go for rather big sizing since we're kind of deep. So I 3-bet for value. He calls. Then I decided to do a small c-bet because I can barrel on 10, king, ace, and heart. And I decided to go pretty small because it's Broadway board. Although now when I look at it, he still could have a lot of 7, 8. Might as well have 10, 8. Might as well have some 10 jacks in his range, which makes a really lot of hands. At the same time, some 6 and 9 X's, which you could call. So maybe going for somewhere around 40% of the pot, somewhere around maybe 350, something like that, would be more reasonable, I guess. But at the same time, his stacks are so short that I could just go for value for 3 streets and make it the pot size river bet on the pot size on the river in terms of his stacks. But I decided to go rather small. Then on the 9 I checked back. I decided to give up, and then after he checks as well on the 9, I decided he never has a 9, neither does he have queen, so there's only hearts left, and then I decided to check back on the river because I reckon I most often either am dead or I have the best hand, and this turns out to be the case. I'm not really sure whether or not to check back on the river is fine, but I guess can't really bluff off too many hands because 8-10 gets there. Well, hearts don't really get there, but if he had a 6 somehow, well, I don't think he calls at the same time. Trying to kick off 6 is I guess not really reasonable. What do we got here? I think I got this guy marked as a fish. Yeah, so I decided to go for 1/3 because we have open-ender. We have a, yeah, then I decided to go for 1/2, trying to put pressure on his 7-8x, maybe some 6-7, 6-8 if he had, and then yeah, as the king rolls off, I just decided to go big, just for the same reason, to fold out all his 7-8x's, maybe even some weak aces, maybe, well, queens, he doesn't really have all the 4s, 3s and 2s, if he has any of those in his range, and also we just go for 3s here as a bluff. It's I guess pretty common, pretty regular. Here we take it down, king jack. What do we got here? Folds out, folds out. 4-7, I get 3-2 as well before. I think it was a, yeah, here I decided to call. Here I folded because the sizing was too large, but now when I think about it, I probably should have raised because I have some sort of equity, and when, like you said, if you have any sort of equity, check raising on these kind of boards is really good. So yeah, that was a mistake by me, I guess, or maybe I set some money, well, I don't know. Here I folded. I guess you can maybe consider playing that. 2.5x here. Yeah, I folded out. See this hand. Yeah, 7-4 is right at the bottom of our range, but we call against 2x, and 2x he did. And here I decide, because I got marked him as a fish, and I think I even remember this guy. So what ended up happening is I decided to go just for 2 big bullets on the turn and river, because I got that he basically, when he has something on a flop, he bets. Well, I don't really remember honestly, but I remember that I was making a decision to bet big on the turn and river, and what happened there? Because he usually never has anything, and then even on the 4 I decided to turn it into a bluff, because just to put on the pressure on his hearts and his high hearts, or any sort of hearts for that matter, because he probably has, well, at the same time I could just check back, I guess, but to put some sort of pressure on his 8, maybe 10x, and yeah, just decided to go ridiculously big because he has any strong holdings after he checks back the flop. Here I decided to fold. Here 2.5x. Yeah, we'll go. This is an interesting. This was probably the most interesting spot, I guess, in the whole tournament. He raised here, and I should have folded here, I think, but I decided just to kind of call and see what he does on the river, and what kind of. But I guess I should have folded here because, to me, that the only bluff that he possibly could have and possibly would make sense is 8-7 of spades, I guess, because if he had 8-7, why wouldn't he check raise the flop? And if he had 10-9, maybe 10-9 would make some sense, but why would he call the flop? Well, I guess you can say that he would call the flop in some ways. I'm not really sure. With the backdoor flush door, maybe, but me blocking the 9 of spades is just such a big blocker. I should have folded it, but I decided to go on because it's kind of like one of my strongest holdings, not strongest holdings, but pretty strong, I assume, I think. So I decided to call one more, and then the river he went big as well, I guess. Yeah, he went up half pot, so I decided to fold just because of Knight and Walker. But I think the biggest mistake that I made is to bet on the jack. At the same time as he has a lot of ace highs and a lot of spades, a lot of 6x's, probably going for something like 200 would have been better, and then folding to check raise, or just checking it back and then on the 2 calling half pot, not bigger than half pot bet would have been reasonable. So these are my thoughts. I'm not really sure whether or not I should have done that, but yeah, well, actually let's try counting it out. 6x, I guess. You could have 7x, you could have 6-9, you could have 6-10, 6-10, maybe not really. 6 jack, 6. Yeah, there's like not a lot of bluffs that he has. The only bluffs I could see is 9-7 of spades, honestly, and maybe 9-10 of spades. But even 9-10 of spades is not really reasonable, because why would he call in the flop? And me blocking the 9 of spades makes him impossible to have any bluffs, unless it's like this guy. I don't even know. Maybe 8 jack. Maybe at the same time he could have 8-6 trapped, because I decided to go for maybe a little bit over the half pot on the turn. I think it was half pot, so it would make sense for him to just go for value, as he knows that I have a strong holding going for 2 streets on this sort of board. So yeah, but as I think he doesn't really have not even many bluffs, not any bluffs, I think. Well, that's for you to decide, I guess. Here decided to fold. I think you can play that. Here fold. What happened here? Yeah, so he called. Yeah, and I folded. He pot the flop. Here I folded. I think it's pretty reasonable to open that, but as I was out of position, I think I folded. Here suit and hand, nice hand. I decided to bet. He called and he potted, so I folded. I think I should have block bet here for somewhere around 150, maybe 170, something like that, because there's still a lot of 2x's that he could have, a lot of ace highs that he could have, and yeah, basically just for that reason I could get value from a little bit, maybe. But yeah. 3.5, take it down. Not really anything here. Anything here. Here. Yeah, so he just decided to check back the turn because of one of my weakest holdings here in terms of second pair. Then I call one straight, and I checked the river. Yeah, I think it's pretty straightforward. Yeah, there I went all in, pretty straightforward. This was I think, if I remember correctly, yeah, so I see, but of course go for 1/2, because he still has like plenty of hands, like millions of hands that you could call off, such as and maybe even Jack Queen, to be honest, but Jack 9, 9, 8, 6, well, 6, 8 is 6, 8, 6, 9 maybe sometimes, a lot of 5x's, 7x's, just tons of hands that he could call off if I had something. So I decided to go rather big, half pot, maybe a little bit more, maybe somewhere around 100 would have been more reasonable, because it's still not really ridiculously not gapped board. But I decided to go for half pot and take it to the streets. Then on the 4 I decided to barrel, because it gives me an open ender, He calls again, and for a king I decided to just go big, because for him to not check raise on those sort of boards while having the nuts, it's pretty hard. Also, me blocking the 6-8 and 6-3 is pretty reasonable. I assume it's pretty reasonable blockers, and I think most of his hands include 10x, 7x, 5x, and yeah, he always goes all in then, and so I fold. Here, what do we have here? Jacks. I open to 2, 4, 1, 5. He calls. Same stuff here, pretty much similar board, but it has flush draw here, so I decided to go. I guess going for half pot here is more reasonable than the other one. Than the other one, go for somewhere around 40% is more reasonable, I guess. So would have that little bit of balance. Here, yeah, easy open, easy take down here. Yeah, he opened to 2x. I called. Yeah, he went for half pot, and they usually do that most of the times. But on the idea of these boards having any equity, as you said, it's good to check raise. So that's check raise I did. Yeah, easy open here. Here having a bottom pair and backdoor flush draw. Relatively not gapped board with the flush, with the spade out flush draw out there. I decided to go for 40%, which I think is very reasonable. Get called on the king. I decided to check give up, and for the pot, yeah, I give up. I don't know what we have here. Yeah, check back, and yeah, on the 9 I decided to check back because he still has tons of hearts and tons of 10-8, I guess. Sometimes, although at the same time not a lot of 10-8s, I guess sometimes 10-8s, and there's only really a Jack X that we get value from, because maybe some 2 pairs as well, but I would assume he would have c-bet those, and he wouldn't call any 9, 6 or 7x here. So I decided to go very big on the river, because if he had somehow trapped Jack, he's definitely calling, and if he has a 9, I think he's definitely calling as well. But because for me to not bet the Jack on the turn makes absolutely no sense. So as I'm representing the Jack here, he would know that I have basically 0 Jacks in my range if he uses logic, but I wouldn't know if he does or he does. So well, he ends up calling with 5s. So if he calls with 5s, I assume he calls with 9, 6 or 7. And I think it's very reasonable by him, because I don't really represent anything. I never have a flush here. Neither do I have a Jack, as I said, because I bet all of those on the turn most likely. So that's my thoughts. I don't know if it's right or not really. Here he fold out. Yeah, pretty easy check back. Just check. I guess I could have went for a bit of value from 3x and maybe some ace highs, maybe somewhere around 150, 200 would have been good. But I decided to just check back. I think you can do either way. I think going for value is better, and I think is like a must. But it's not really a blunder, as you say, I assume. Here. Yeah, I went all in. Yeah, 11 blinds. I think his bounty was yeah, it's pretty reasonable. 7, here I called, obviously. Here check. Yeah, pretty straightforward. Here 6, I assume it was a shove. Yeah, open shove for 30 blinds. I think you can even do it for 40 blinds in this situation if you had 4,000 chips with any small pair, because to be honest, race calling is not the best option, and limp calling is not the best option as well. So maybe limp, then he raises, then we go all in, is probably would be the best. But given that we don't know if he raises, and letting him realize equity is not that good as well. So I think even for 40 blinds, it's very reasonable to just open shove or limp small pairs, because just because of the such large such large fold equity, and even if he does call with the calling range, I think we have somewhere around 42%. So I think it's very, very reasonable to shove even for 40 blinds. Given that he calls with 6s plus, 7 pluses, ace 9 suited plus, something like that for 40 blinds. I assume we have somewhere around 42 blinds, 42%. Yeah, this was pretty clear. I shoved for 32. King, queen, not for 32, minus his bounty. Yeah, let's just take it down. Yeah, here I decided to check, given that's one of my weakest queens, but I think I should have c-bet because there's just so many hands that you could continue with. And here I just went for a little bit of values for a flush, maybe good, hope for to get called by 9, 10x, maybe weaker flushes. And although there are not plenty of those, in fact probably none. Let's see what happened. Yeah, I just pushed all in with the suited hand. Yeah, it's pretty straightforward. I think he had a bigger bounty than the beginners were. That's why I did it. Yeah, pretty much similar situation right here. Nothing interesting there. Nothing interesting here. This situation, yeah, I think he had a rather small bounty. Decided to fold. Let's fold there. Folds there all around. Yeah, here I called. Yeah, I was considering check raising because it's he's like has tons of bluffs and also a lot of flush draws, straight draws that he could just continue with, even if I check raise, for example, if he had something like 10 for clubs, but at the same time it's only one club. Well, not really sure, but I was considering check raising, given that he doesn't really have any range advantage, although he has 9s. Here I decided to go for one more because he still has some well, not really a lot of bluffs, to be honest, because basically everything got there. So I guess I should have folded right there, right then, and I just fold out. At the same time, he could have something like 8, 9 on the turn, but on the river I decided to fold because they never bluff on these boards for 3. Yeah, it was an easy fold here. Yeah, he checked here, I folded there. At 2.5, easy call. I think I should have value bet the river for a little bit. Actually, here was supposed to be a shove, I guess. Yeah, this I think I raised would have called, raise induce kind of. I think shoving is fine as well. Yeah, here I decided to raise rather big because we're kind of deep, and I decided to go for 1/3. Although there are not a lot of cards that I could barrel, but if they come. If the 5 comes or a 2 comes, I could, and then probably just the implied odds would be really good. And here I just folded out because even if I had a 4, there's not a lot of bluffs that he has, and just the amount of ace-x that he has is crazy. So here I think I could have called because given that he bet for 1/6 for something. And maybe consider taking it down to the streets because he's most likely, more often than not, the moron. Yeah, here cold, This was supposed to be a fold. I think I clicked here, but yeah, although he's not really repping anything, it's rarely a bluff from these cool guys. Here, yeah, I just shoved for 425. I guess it was something like 10. Yeah, this is. I think he had a rather big bounty. This spot was kind of interesting. I think he had a very small bounty, that's why. But if he had two of the beginning bounties, I think shoving here is very reasonable. Given that they have 40 blinds, and so this is pretty much the same situation. And maybe I could even go for a little bit of value on the river, although there's not really a lot of value to be taken. So I think you can go either way. Yeah, here I decided to go because I have a 6 rather than having a 2. So I think going for a little bit of value here is reasonable. If I had a Jack 2, I think I would have checked back. But given that I have so much equity against 3x, 5x, I mean Jack 5 and all that, what happened here? Oh, Jack 6 was there, sliding a little bit. There it is. Right. Here I raised, he called, I went big on the turn. Pretty reasonable. I think I should have maybe gone a little bit smaller, or maybe even check back. Yeah, here I just went ridiculously big because trying to not represent anything after he checks back the turn. He usually doesn't have a lot of hands, but after I go so big on the river, I usually have either missed flush draws or either what I have here, and I think calling here with something like 8x, 7x is very reasonable. Yeah, easy shove. Yeah, easy shove. Up to unlucky we didn't got there. Here, easy fold. Yeah, here I just decided to shove. Yeah, it's pretty easy. Here I decided to call because I well, I think I got him either marked or I don't really remember, but I remember that there was some sort of reason in here in the king I should have raised, of course, for sure, but I think I remembered that when he bet so small on the turn, I call any 2, just because I knew that I could outplay him on the river. Like if the river wasn't the king, I would just bet somewhere around 2000 or something, because most of the time these bets are just they just play very straightforward. They very well, exploitatively, I guess. But I think only later we'll find that it won't be the case. Well, we'll see. If I remember correctly, maybe this wasn't this tournament, but I think it was. Yeah, pretty easy here. Pretty straightforward there. He's busy here. Then I folded. I think you could have called that one here pretty damn easy. This was the hand, I think, pretty interesting, because he 3-bet, so it's a 4-bet on chart, so I 4-bet him. And then I decided to check back just because of the amount here of ace X that he has. And then on the 4 I decided to check back once more, given that he checked on the turn, so he basically never has ace, and I most often did not have the best hand, but going for 2 would be rather sketchy, given that my stack size is kind of pot, basically less than pot. So I decided to check back, kind of trapping him a little bit if he has something like 10s or 9s or 8s or 7s or something like that. So or maybe some Jack X, and just going very, very thin for value on the river, because he most often than not finds the call basically always after I check back 2 times. So that was my initial thoughts, but I think I should, after he folded the river, I think I should have gone somewhere around the same sizing on the turn, or maybe something larger, maybe something like 2000, 2500 on the turn, and then check back the river would be more reasonable, because after I check 2 times on these kind of boards, is either I have it, or like I usually more often than not just never have bluffs there. It's very sketchy that I check back, and I'm not gonna go for value with something like kings or anything. So maybe I would. So I don't know. Well, he folded anyway. So yeah, he folded up there. What happened here? Yeah, 1/3 seems reasonable. 1/2 seems reasonable. Just because of the flush draw that got there. Yeah, here was the same reason I decided to call, just because of the 1/5, and he never, of course, has a king. If he would, maybe a 10 sometimes. But the thing is that if they bet so small, it's just usually so exploitatively that I probably even should have raised this river, but I was just a little bit too much of a chicken, I guess. So I decided not to. I think I will do it later if I remember. Maybe it wasn't this tournament. I'm pretty sure it was, but I actually did check raise them, and I got myself into some trouble. But we'll see what happened here. Actually, yeah, he limped. Wait, didn't he? Yeah, he limped. So I decided to 3-bet rather small, because we're 50 blinds deep. Decided to check back because it's one of my weakest aces, and then decided to check back the 9 just because of the all of the 9s are. Well, actually, I think I should have bet the 9, I guess, because I have plenty of 9x's in my range. So at the same time, I have plenty of 9x's in my range after checking back the flop. So not betting the ace, I think, is pretty reasonable, and then just going big because I missed out on the flop and turn. So I kind of went big on the for value on the river, and hoping to get called by Jack. But I think I should have maybe bit the flop there. Here I decided to bet because he checked back for the second time, so I had to I had to put some sort of protection for my hand, and he usually, well, most often than not, never has a queen there. So I decided to bet rather big, 70%, because there are 2 flush draws out there. It's rather not gap board, so if he has something like ace 10, king 10, 9, 6, he probably calls, but at the same time he probably bets them himself. So, and I get value from 8 or 7x there. So yeah, here easy half pot, easy check back. Yeah, I think I should have continued, but I was just too afraid because I think I had him marked as well. But I think I should have continued here for somewhere around half pot, and then just banged it on the river. Or maybe, and considering that he bet 600, of course I should have raised here. It's a pretty easy raise, I think. But I guess I just didn't really have the balls back then. Here he limped, I checked back. Yeah, easy give up. And what happened here? Oh, he 3-bet me, okay. Easy fold, I guess. Here I pushed less than 20 blinds, easy push. 8s, alright. boring. What happened here? I just pushed. Yeah, pretty reasonable. What about here? Yeah, he limped. I check back. I decided to go very big because he never has, of course, any ace. Neither do I. But I think betting very big, just putting a lot of pressure on his 4s and 5s, and just knowing that he checked back the flop, he usually